Hey Athey kids and parents! This weekend in Athey Kids, we are starting our Resurrection Story series. As the climax of Jesus' ministry approached, he entered Jerusalem as king during the last week of his life. Now when they drew near to Jerusalem, Jesus sent two disciples saying to them, "Go into the village in front of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, you shall say, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them at once." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put on them their cloaks, and he sat on them. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went before him and that followed him were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!" And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and bought in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. He said to them, "It is written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer,' but you make it a den of robbers." After cleansing the temple, Jesus was confronted by the chief priests and the elders, questioning his authority to do these things. Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, "What do you think? A man had 2 sons, and he went to the first and said, 'Son, go and work in the vineyard today.' And he answered, 'I will not.' But afterward he changed his mind and went. And he went to the other son and said the same. And he answered, 'I go, sir,' but did not go. Which of the 2 did the will of his father?" They said, "The first." Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "The scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So do and observe whatever they tell you, but not the works they do. For they preach, but do not practice. The reason they do good things is so other people will see them. Those Pharisees and teachers of the law love to have the most important seats at the feasts, and they love to have the most important seats in the synagogues. They love people to show respect to them in the marketplaces, and they love to have people call them teacher." After warning the scribes and Pharisees, Jesus cried over Jerusalem, saying, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you kill the prophets and kill with stones those men God sent to you. Many times I wanted to help your people. I wanted to gather them together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. But you did not let me. Now your home will be left completely empty. I tell you, you will not see me again until that time when you will say, 'God bless the one who comes in the name of the Lord.'" On Sunday, Jesus arrived in Jerusalem as the promised king, which the Old Testament looked forward to. Throughout the week, Jesus demonstrated his authority as the rightful king, as he confronted the hypocritical religious leaders. However, the people and the religious leaders rejected Jesus as king. The teaching points will vary slightly from classroom to classroom, but the main points will be: Jesus is the promised king, the Old Testament promises fulfilled. Jesus is the rightful king, Jesus' authority displayed. And Jesus is the rejected king, the consequences for rejecting Jesus. This weekend, we want to drive home that Jesus entered Jerusalem as king. Matthew presented Jesus as the promised rightful king, who confronted the sin of the Sadducees and Pharisees. But Jesus was also the rejected king. The religious leaders had the appearance of religion, but they hated their king and rebelled against him. They chose instead to honor themselves as king over their lives. Don't make the same mistake. Instead, choose to submit to King Jesus today. Our prayer is that you submit every part of your life, the part seen by others as well as the secret part in your heart, to the King Jesus Christ. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend. See ya!